I heard about this couple, married couple. And they were having problems. They were yelling at each other, accusing at each other, being toxic at each other, and it was not sustainable anymore. So at least they agreed to go to see somebody. They went to do therapy to try to save the marriage. They had the first meeting. The wife complains, "He never listens to me. I can't do it anymore. He never listens to me. He doesn't know me anymore." Therapist said, "Stop it right there." Therapist looks at the husband. And I said, "Sir, what's your wife's favorite flower?" And he said, "That's easy. Robin Hood, all purpose." You're getting it slowly. It's like a domino effect, people getting the punchline. I don't know about our international viewers. I don't know if they know what Robin Hood is. By the way, here in Manitoba is a brand of flour to cook, different kind of flour. Anyway, I want to talk to you today about the power of reconciliation. Something very important. But I wanted to start this sermon by acknowledging that the decisions that we make in our lives, or the way we behave, affects not only us, but most of the time the people around us as well. So if you are behaving a certain way at home, you should be aware that that behavior, like it or not, will affect your children and sometimes even your grandchildren. So things that sometimes they are not a big deal for us, right? But the way we relate to our relatives, to our family, affects the way our children perceive ourselves and their own family and their own relative. It's amazing how, again, it might be not a big deal for us, but sometimes the way we behave might be a defining moment in the life of our children. So if you go around giving people their silent treatment, or you're yelling and you're being rude, condescending, patronizing other people, that it will make a mark on the people around you. So the danger of that is that you can start, and I guess it's present in many families, and sometimes we don't realize where that started, right? But behaving that way could start a cycle of dysfunctionality in a family that can eventually become normal in that family. And it can continue from generation to generation. That powerful it is, the way we behave to other people, and that deep is the mark that it will leave the people around us. Now, if you don't believe me, what we have to do is to read this week's parsha. What happened? We read about Jacob and Esau. And you remember how everything started, right? How Jacob wasn't so nice to Esau to begin with. He had a goal to get that firstborn blessing and rights and everything. So he tricked Esau into selling his rights for a plate of food. I mean, let's be honest. Jacob could have easily offered Esau that plate of food free of charge. "Hey, you're my brother. You just came back from hunting. You're starving. Here, eat. Let's celebrate our brotherhood." But no, he had to sell it. And then Esau got really mad at Jacob. And then again, he tricked him again to get the blessing from his father. Long story short, now Esau wanted to kill Jacob, and he has to leave his house running away to save his life. It was very unfortunate how things were happening, right? But now what happened? Jacob is in a new place. He starts a new family. Have you ever wondered, because I do, have you ever wondered what Jacob shared with his own family about his brother? Have you ever wondered what kind of conversations he used to have? What kind of story he will tell his own children about his brother Esau. Because I guess he knew that eventually they will have to see each other again. So, I mean, if it were me, if it were you, will you tell them about Esau? What will you tell them about him? Well, we don't really have it explicitly in the Torah, but if we know how to read hints, we can learn a few things of what may Jacob told his children about Esau. Because fast forward 20 years later, now Jacob, this was Parsha, is coming back home. And I would believe, everybody was afraid. And then eventually they saw how Jacob split the camps, just in case if Esau will attack one, the other would survive, and so forth. So you would think the family didn't say anything, they didn't complain. Are you nuts? Why wouldn't do that? Because everybody grew up out of, learning to fear Esau and his wrath, and how he is the bad dude of the family, the grumpy uncle. Well, this is interesting, because eventually they met each other, and they hugged, and they kissed in front of everyone. Unexpected, probably, for the rest of the family, but that's exactly what happened. They reconciled. Now, after that reconciliation, after they hug and they kiss, the Torah described that Esau wanted to meet Jacob's family. So Jacob starts sending to Esau his family so he can meet them. He can get to know them. And it says, first came the maids and their children. Then came Leah and her children. And last, Joseph and Rachel. I read the most amazing midrash about this. The rabbis are asking, why would it say maids and their children, Leah and her children in that order, but at the end, Joseph first and then Rachel? Why? Joseph was, I believe, 8 or 9 years old at the time. And the midrash said, because he was afraid for the life of his mother after everything he heard about Esau. He, even as a little boy, wanted to protect his mother against this bad uncle. Now, get me thinking, how the way we tell the story and the thing we tell our children made a mark on them. This little boy grew up fearing his uncle, thinking that it was the worst thing in the world, to the point that with 8 years old, he wanted to protect his mother. Yeah, they kiss, they hug, but maybe it's not sincere. So I wanted to protect you, and that's why the Torah says, first Joseph, and then Rachel. Well, but it was interesting, because at the end of the day, Jacob and Esau, they reconciled. And the rabbi said, then Joseph also witnessed that. And that reconciliation between brothers also made a mark on him. How do we know that? Because now, fast forward another few decades. Joseph became a grown man. He was sold by his brothers as a slave. He ended up in Egyptian jail. Eventually, he became the viceroy of Egypt, right? Now his brothers come to see him. Now, Joseph had the opportunity to take revenge on his brothers for everything they did to him. What did Joseph do? He forgave them. And again, he kissed them and he hugged them. Where did he learn that? The Midrash said he learned it from Uncle Esau, and how he was able to forgive Jacob for everything he did. So it make me think how careful we have to be the way we behave at home in front of our children and grandchildren, because everything we do, everything we say about the relatives, you know what, that one is, he likes gossip, that one is so selfish. They listen, and they make an impression, and they grow up thinking everything that we say and absorbing all our behaviors. So this is a beautiful parsha that is talking about the reconciliation between brothers. It's also talking about us being the one who has to be very careful what we do and do all what we can to create reconciliation within the family. And there is another beautiful thing in this parsha, and it's how Jacob approached Esau after all these years, after not knowing what was going to happen. He brought gifts. It was a beautiful thing. Never underestimate the power of a gift. A gift has the power to soften our hearts and to prepare ourselves for a conversation. And I was thinking that Hanukkah is coming up. What do we do on Hanukkah? We give gifts to each other. And every year on Hanukkah, many families go to the thing, should we buy a gift to this one? I don't think so. They never come visit, never called us. And when they come, all they do is gossip about others. Nah, we won't buy a gift for that person. We want a gift for this other one or this other one. You may have good reasons to not wanting to give a gift to somebody. I don't know your reality. But I'm thinking it cannot be worse of what Jacob did to Esau and what the brothers did to Joseph in the future. And they found a way to forgive and to reconcile. So Hanukkah is a wonderful opportunity to approach to all those people that maybe we don't talk to them for a long time, to try to repair their relationship. And maybe that starts with a gift, something meaningful to them, in the hope that when we do that and our children witness that, they will learn to forgive and to repair broken relationships in the future when they are in a similar situation. Beautiful things that we learn from this parsha and from the celebration of Hanukkah. Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach.